Good evening, gentle dreamer. Tonight, we once again pull aside the heavy curtain of centuries to step quietly into the past. A place where cold stone met warm candlelight, and where a man's future was often made of steel, loyalty, and silence. If you're new here, do feel free to subscribe for more sleepy stories like this one. Whether you're lying comfortably beneath woolen covers or reclining on what may very well be a strangely echoed bathroom seat, don't worry, we won't judge. I invite you to imagine something special. You're not just here. You're somewhere, and somewhen else entirely. When you flush, you don't vanish into plumbing. You slip through the centuries, past cobbled streets and cathedral bells, past the scent of roasting meat and the distant chant of monks. You arrive in England. Not the England of football and tea, but the England of oaths, lords, and iron. Medieval England. Let yourself land quietly in a room with timber beams and walls of wattle and daub. You are not just a visitor here. You have been expected. Likewise, you are a knight. You blink slowly. The light from the window is gray and cold. Dawn hasn't quite arrived. The wooden shutters above your bed groan in the breeze. You sit up on the straw-stuffed mattress, the stiffness of sleep clinging to your arms and shoulders. Your bones are heavy, not from age, but from armor worn too often. You are not a knight of legend or fairy tale. You are real. Your hands bear scars not from dragons, but from leather reins and blunted swords. You rise and wrap a woolen mantle over your tunic. The air in the chamber is damp. Outside, a cock crows, and the muffled sounds of movement in the bailey begin. Squires fetching water, servants stoking hearths, the clink of pots being stirred. You move slowly, thoughtfully. A knight does not rush unless he must. Your squire, Edwin, a narrow-shouldered boy of perhaps 14, waits with a wooden basin. The water is cold, startlingly so. You wash your face, not for comfort, but for clarity. There is always something to tend to, always something broken or threatened or dishonored. You do not live in an age of rest. Down in the great hall, the fire is already lit. A few other knights linger at long oaken tables, eating bread that's more crust than crumb, dipped into thick pottage. You eat slowly, savoring the warmth more than the flavor. You nod to your companions. No words are exchanged. There is honor in silence. A bell sounds from the chapel. Not a summons, just a reminder that time moves forward. It always moves forward. Later, in the courtyard, squires practice sword strokes with wooden weapons. You inspect their stances, correcting one boy's wrist, another's foot placement. You remember when that was you, barely taller than the sword you held. Furthermore, you remember your own knighting ceremony, the long vigil in the chapel the night before, the cold steel laid gently on your shoulder, the whispered prayers and the weight of expectations that followed. It is no small thing becoming a knight. It is not simply earned by blood, but by obedience, by service, and by sacrifice. You hear the ring of hooves on stone. 2 riders approach the keep. Messengers. Their tunics bear the heraldry of a neighboring lord. They bring word of a melee to be held in spring, a tournament, part practice, part spectacle, part politics. It will be a chance to prove yourself. But you know too well. Many men lose more than pride at those games. Helmets dent, bones snap, friendships fracture beneath the armor. Still, it is what knights do. Train, protect, fight, and sometimes die. By late afternoon, you are inspecting the outer walls of the manor. The stone is worn smooth in places. Moss clings to the shadowed corners. You speak with the reeve about repairs and food stores, The grain will last, but the pigs are fewer this season. That matters. Everything does. You are not only a warrior. You are a steward, a symbol, and sometimes a judge. As dusk falls, you return to the hall. The smell of roasted onions and ale fills the space. Edwin sets your food down gently: coarse bread, a trencher of stew, and a single ripe apple, rare this late in the season. You eat slowly. The fire crackles behind you. A hound sleeps beside the hearth, its soft breaths matching your own. You lean back on the wooden bench and close your eyes, just for a moment. Your sword is still buckled at your side. Your duties never truly end, but for now, the hall is warm, the world is quiet, and you are a knight. You have survived the day. Not only that, but you have honored your oath. You are at peace. So sleep now. Let the cold wind wander beyond the walls. Let the banners hang motionless in the still air. So let the flickering candles cast their soft, golden light across stone and memory. Train, protect, fight, and sometimes die. By late afternoon, you are inspecting the outer walls of the manor. The stone is worn smooth in places. Moss clings to the shadowed corners. You speak with the reeve about repairs and food stores. The grain will last, but the pigs are fewer this season. That matters. Everything does. You are not only a warrior. You are a steward, a symbol, and sometimes a judge. As dusk falls, you return to the hall. The smell of roasted onions and ale fills the space. Edwin sets your food down gently: coarse bread, a trencher of stew, and a single ripe apple, rare this late in the season. You eat slowly. The fire crackles behind you. A hound sleeps beside the hearth, its soft breaths matching your own. You lean back on the wooden bench and close your eyes, just for a moment. Your sword is still buckled at your side. Your duties never truly end. But for now, the hall is warm, the world is quiet, and you are a knight. You have survived the day. Not only that, but you have honored your oath. You are at peace. So sleep now. Let the cold wind wander beyond the walls. Let the banners hang motionless in the still air. So let the flickering candles cast their soft golden light across stone and memory.
The clamor of steel and the thunder of hooves had always marked the knight's true domain. Battle. From the blood-soaked fields near Hastings in 1066, where Norman knights first appeared beneath grey English skies, clad in long chain-mail hauberks and bearing kite-shaped shields, to the muddy plains of France, where rain mingled with blood. The night evolved with the wars that shaped England. Early on, their open-faced helmets and iron spears were held low under the arm or thrown like javelins, and the knight's value lay in speed and fearsome impact. But war never stayed still. As the 100 Years' War dragged across generations, knights, once feared for their swift cavalry charges, found themselves vulnerable to volleys of longbow arrows. The sound of hundreds of bowstrings releasing in unison was more devastating than thunder. Arrows darkened the sky and tore through armor that had not yet caught up with the times. So the night changed again. Steel and iron plate replaced mail. Joints were forged to flex and absorb the blunt rhythm of foot combat. In battles like Crécy and Agincourt, the knight became a fortress unto himself, gleaming and heavy, with visor closed and breath shallow. During the Wars of the Roses, when brother fought brother beneath rose-colored banners, their suits of armor became more elaborate. Chiseled curves, gilded flourishes, and helms shaped like beasts. But beauty weighed heavy. On the battlefield of Flodden in 1513, they stood for the last time, fully armored, knowing it was not just a battle, but an end of an age. Beyond those suits were names. Sir William Peveril, the shadow of William the Conqueror's blade. Sir Henry Hotspur Percy, the rider too fast to follow. And William Marshall, a man so skilled, so steady, that kings placed kingdoms in his care. But no amount of armor could protect England from the storms brewing within its own crown. In December of 1421, a crown was set upon the head of a child, not yet 1 year old. Henry VI, a baby king, unknowingly inherited a kingdom torn by war and pride. The nobles ruled in his stead, each with whispers of ambition. And though Henry would grow, he would never truly rise. His mind, fragile and shaken by visions and silences, could not carry the weight of a fractured kingdom. Hoping to unite the warring hearts, he wed Margaret of Anjou, niece of the French king. But no crown is light. The nobles raged when he lost French land, and in 1454 they turned to Richard, Duke of York, making him protector of the realm. Power shifted, like storm winds over stone castles. When Henry returned to rule again that winter, it was not with strength, but with silence. And behind every royal sigh, knights stood, some loyal, some weary, all bound to a world changing faster than armor could adapt. And so, under torchlight flickering against cold steel, history marched forward. Slowly, gently. You may let your eyes drift now, dear listener. Think of distant banners folding in the dusk, of horses walking quietly through morning mist, of chain mail cooled by night air, and the whisper of pages turning in forgotten halls. The nights still watch over your dreams. Now imagine the year was 1455. The Kingdom of England, already strained by fragile leadership and fraying loyalties, turned its eyes toward Leicester. King Henry VI, fragile in mind and led by voices not entirely his own, had summoned his leading nobles to a great council. But one name was notably absent: Richard, Duke of York. A man of high blood, ambition, and rightful claim. Richard saw the omission not as accident, but as warning. He feared retribution against his supporters and the slow unraveling of his influence. So he did what men of power did in those days. He raised troops. Not for show, not for pageantry, but for survival. The confrontation came swiftly in the streets of St. Albans. It was not meant to be a war, yet it became one. Steel rang against steel in narrow alleys and marketplace squares. Crimson banners of Lancaster clashed with the white rose of York. The first swords drawn in what would become the Wars of the Roses. And the smoke cleared. It was Richard who held the field. The king's forces had fallen. Henry VI, dazed and wounded, was found behind the lines, unharmed in body, but broken in spirit. Richard once more became Lord Protector of England. But this time, he went further. In 1460, with the Act of Accord, he secured the right of succession, bypassing Henry's young son and placing himself as heir apparent. It was a paper crown on a trembling head. Henry vanished from court life, slipping into the quiet places of the realm. But peace never lasts in a kingdom divided. Margaret of Anjou, Henry's steadfast and fierce queen, would not allow her son Edward to be cast aside. She crossed borders and broke alliances, forging pacts with Scotland and France. Historic enemies now turned into reluctant friends. From the hills and valleys of the north, her army rose like a tide. The kingdom fractured along two great lines. The House of Lancaster, wearing red, and the House of York, bearing white. Roses? Yes, but thorns, sharper than any sword. The first Battle of St. Albans had been only the beginning. A feud born in ambition and bred in betrayal would bleed across 3 decades. At Wakefield, Towton, Tewkesbury, and Barnet, noble houses would rise and fall. Brothers would slay brothers, and fields once green would turn dark beneath the storm of arrows and trampling hooves. Yet tonight, as the echoes of war fade into memory, you need not carry the weight of their swords. Just imagine the slow hush of fog settling over a quiet English field. Torches flicker in the distance, the banners lowered for now, and the horses breathing soft clouds into the cold air. You are safe. The roses are still. The kings are silent. Let your breath fall gently with the rhythm of distant drums, not of war, but of sleep. Did you know that England's history is rich with the deeds of its warriors? As you sit quietly, your eyes slowly growing heavier, you can almost feel the weight of a steel gauntlet slide over your fingers. The scent of oiled leather and the cold metal of chainmail pressing against your shoulders. The wind carries a distant echo of banners flapping in the breeze, hooves stirring the earth, and the muffled voices of knights in preparation. This is not a dream. This is a memory whispered through time. And tonight, it belongs to you. You walk through the great hall of a stone keep, torches flickering on tapestries depicting battles of old. Each step takes you deeper into the legends of medieval England, into the lives of the great knights who once ruled the battlefield with steel and spirit. You begin your journey alongside William Marshall. Born of modest beginnings, his childhood could have ended in obscurity. But fate and sheer resolve carved him into something greater. You watch as he trains in the courtyard, his wooden sword whirling faster than your eyes can follow. You see him rise, steadily, loyally, serving not one, but 5 English kings, from Henry II to Henry III. He was not just a warrior, but a master diplomat, a guardian of England during its most fragile days. His code of honor was not written in ink, but etched into the scars upon his hands. As the world around you shifts, you now find yourself beneath a golden sun, the desert heat rising in waves off stone walls. At your side rides a king, tall, fierce, and armored in a lion's heart. Richard I, known forever as Richard the Lionheart. His sword is stained with the sands of Jerusalem. His name both feared and revered. He is not a king of peace or council chambers. He is a crusader, his loyalty given to the cross and the battlefield. Though he ruled England only briefly and spent little time on its soil, his legend burned into the soul of Europe like a comet in the night. You watch him lead a charge against Saladin's forces, lance raised high, a symbol of pure courage, riding into the unknown. The air cools now. The sky darkens. You are transported to the green hills of France during the 100 Years' War. The thunder of hooves beats beneath you as you ride with Edward the Black Prince. His armor glints obsidian in the half-light, a shadow of nobility cloaked in might. At the Battle of Crécy, you see him command with wisdom beyond his years. At Poitiers, his strategy and strength bring him glory and fear alike. He is the heir to the English throne, but fate will deny him the crown. Yet his memory, his black armor, his quiet defiance in the face of death, those live on. You pause now. The battlefield is quiet. The names echo like lullabies. Marshal, Lionheart, Black Prince. They were men of blood and fire, but also of duty, of dreams forged beneath stars, not so different from those above you now. Knights, in all their flawed humanity, showed the full spectrum of what it meant to serve and to strive. Their stories may be loud in history, but tonight they are soft and still, woven like thread through the comfort of your dreams. So sleep now, weary traveler. Let the clatter of swords fade to silence. Let the torches dim. Your armor is set aside, your journey paused. You are safe here, nestled in time. It is your destrier, trained from birth for the chaos of battle. Its breath snorts like a furnace, and its hooves dig divots in the damp grass as you ride toward the rising sun. A war horse, the proud companion of every true knight, was never cheap nor common. Only men of means, lords, barons, and nobles' sons could afford such a creature. But tonight, you are among them, clad in the colors of your house. You carry not only your sword and shield, but your legacy. Around your neck, your chainmail hums with each movement, the metal glinting silver blue in the morning haze. Your armor, once partial and awkward in your youth, now fits you like a second skin. By the 1400s, full suits of plate armor covered men from crown to heel. And you now understand why they called it the knight's cage and his cocoon. It shields you from arrow and sword alike, yet reminds you with every breath that you are mortal underneath. At your side walks your squire, a boy barely 14, but with hands rough from training and heart filled with dreams. He holds your helm and lance, and before each battle, he helps you mount your steed, polish your blade, and fasten the sacred straps that bind you to your duty. He will one day ride in your place. But for now, he watches, learns, serves. You remember when you were him, wide-eyed beneath a heavy sun, your palms blistered from wooden practice swords. You smile. Your coat of arms, a crimson eagle over a field of gold, is stitched into your surcoat, blazoned across your shield, and flutters from a small banner just above your tent. That flag is more than art. It tells the world who you are, what bloodline you claim, and which oaths you have sworn. On the battlefield, it signals friend or foe. In peace, it binds your name to your deeds. Heraldry is the knight's signature, written in fabric and steel. You pass a field of other knights preparing for tournament, a practice ground of chivalry and combat. Horses rear, lances tilt, and men fall laughing into the dust. Your fellow knights polish their breastplates, whisper prayers, and review the day's challenges with squires and attendants. There are archers on the periphery and cooks turning spits in the wind, but the center belongs to the mounted warrior. Always the mounted warrior. The image of a knight astride his horse, banner trailing behind him, lance poised like a striking star, is etched forever into the memory of this land. But now the sun begins to dip. The clash of weapons grows faint. The pageant of the day winds to its end. You dismount, your squire catching your elbow gently. Your armor is heavy now, and you feel each battle you've ever fought in your knees, your shoulders, your bones. Still there is pride. There is honor. And most of all, there is peace. You return to your tent, the soft flap of canvas welcoming you home. The fire is low, a bowl of warm broth rests by your side, untouched. Your hands, once trembling with anticipation before every duel, now tremble with something quieter. Exhaustion, perhaps, or contentment. Your sword rests on a wooden rack. Your helmet gleams beside it. The only sound is the soft breath of your horse, sleeping outside. You lie back on a bed of wool and hay, and your eyes begin to close. And now, dear listener, your own journey slows. You have walked beside knights through centuries of battle and honor, duty and legacy. You have felt the weight of steel, the heat of the battlefield, the cold breath of dusk on your cheek. But now, let all that fall away. Let your shoulders sink. Let your breath grow deep and soft. You've done enough. In this gentle hour, the world is still, the fire flickers, the stars blink into place above ancient stone towers and quiet fields where horses sleep and banners rest. There is no need to rise early. There are no enemies to fight, no oaths to fulfill. Tonight you are not a warrior. You are a dreamer, held gently in the arms of time. So rest now, noble soul. Let the embers warm your heart. Let the lullabies of long-forgotten trumpets guide you deeper into sleep. You are safe here. You are home. Good night. Good night. Sweet night of dreams.
Train, protect, fight, and sometimes die. By late afternoon, you are inspecting the outer walls of the manor. The stone is worn smooth in places. Moss clings to the shadowed corners. You speak with the reeve about repairs and food stores. The grain will last, but the pigs are fewer this season. That matters. Everything does. You are not only a warrior. You are a steward, a symbol, and sometimes a judge. As dusk falls, you return to the hall. The smell of roasted onions and ale fills the space. Edwin sets your food down gently. Coarse bread, a trencher of stew, and a single ripe apple. Rare this late in the season. You eat slowly. The fire crackles behind you. A hound sleeps beside the hearth, its soft breaths matching your own. You lean back on the wooden bench and close your eyes, just for a moment. Your sword is still buckled at your side. Your duties never truly end. But for now, the hall is warm, the world is quiet, and you are a knight. You have survived the day. Not only that, but you have honored your oath. You are at peace. So sleep now. Let the cold wind wander beyond the walls. Let the banners hang motionless in the still air. So let the flickering candles cast their soft golden light across stone and memory.